Hello viewers, in this session we will be talking about general English and how to crack for Group 2 prelims examinations. So let's commence with understanding what are the basics, the rudiments of the objective questions that will be asked of you. Grammar is very important in the learning of any language. So when you want to crack an examination, it's very important that you have a sound grammar knowledge. Now that is a question because you suddenly cannot learn everything just during a brief span as in when you take up an examination. But certain topics that have been given to you can be cracked. So we will start with what is a phrase. Now a phrase is a group of words with either a subject or a verb, but they do not contain both. In other words, these words cannot offer you a complete, wholesome meaning. So this is the definition of what a phrase is. We have about 5 kinds of phrases. One of them is the noun phrase, then we have the verb phrase, the adverb phrase, the adjective phrase, and the prepositional phrase. Let us take an example for a noun phrase. The lamp is burning bright. So the lamp is the noun phrase. Lamp therefore becomes the noun phrase because that is the noun. We have the verb phrase. She can smell the pizza. Can smell becomes the verb phrase. In the adverb phrase, we have a sentence like she went online for more information. So for more information becomes the adverb phrase. The adjective phrase would be in a sentence like a person smarter than me would fit this profile. Smarter than me becomes the adjective phrase. And finally the preposition phrase, he arrived on time. So on time is the preposition phrase. Now noun, you know, is a name, place, animal, thing. Anything that refers to these are called as nouns. And verb is action. What you say in Tamil, செயல். Adverb is that which gives you more information about the verb. An adjective is that which gives you more information about the noun. Noun in Tamil, what you say, பெயர் சொல். So prepositions are those that are linking words that help in giving you a definite meaning within a sentence. For example, he sat on a chair. So on is a preposition. She looked at me. At is a preposition. You are standing in my way. In is again a preposition. So therefore, if we look at all these examples that I've just given you, you will find that the word lamp, the words can smell, the words for more information, smarter than me, on time, all these are therefore known as phrases. I repeat, words which may have a subject or a verb but not both. Here we have 2 columns. In one column A, you have certain words. You've got to make a reference to the same meaning in column B. So let's see how we can do this. In column A, we have words like wonderstruck, ravenously, it pains me, thoughtless, relief, practically, homesick, exuberant, and exhilarated. So these are the words that form column A. Correspondingly, look at column B. We have a welcome change, almost, great, voracious, not very caring, it hurts me, wanting to be at home, a welcome change, filled with joy, jumped up and down. So look at it very carefully and see if you can match column A with column B. Wonderstruck, check what would be the meaning in column B. ravenously, it pains me, thoughtless, relief, practically, homesick, exuberant and exhilarated. Now for this it is very important that you also know the semantic or the meaning of the words, and that would come to you only if you read more, and of course in due course of time when you practice you will be able to know what a particular word actually stands for semantically. Now we shall have the solution to the columns that we were just talking about. Column A, wonderstruck in column A refers to surprising, something that surprises you. You're wonderstruck, baffled. So that's what wonderstruck means. Ravenously, when you're very hungry and you've not eaten for some time, then what happens? You feel like eating. The minute you see something on the plate, you feel like gobbling it down. That, therefore, is great, voracious. It pains me. Now, that's quite easy. This phrase is equivalent to it hurts me. So, that's an easy way to match. Thoughtless. When you have less as a suffix in any of the words, you know its negative connotation. So therefore, thoughtless means, what is the negative connotation here? Not very caring. Relief. You feel relieved about something. So naturally, it can correspond only to a welcome change. Practically. Now this, look at everything and then finally you will be able to sort it out as almost. Homesick. It's very, very easy here. Wanting to be at home, because you have the word home in both the question as well as in the answer. Exuberant. Now, that is slightly difficult if you do not know and if you don't have sound vocabulary. So, exuberant is having a lot of energy. Therefore, you jump up and down. You're bursting with energy. So, jumped up and down. And finally, you have the word exhilarated. Now, exhilarated means you're filled with joy. Obviously, that is the only one that's left out, and therefore, you would naturally mark that as the 9th one. So, let's move on once again to the solutions. Wonderstruck means surprisingly. Ravenously means great and voracious. It pains me is equated to it hurts me. Thoughtless is something that hurts you and therefore you're not very caring is the only one that you can think, because thought actually refers to a kind of indifference that somebody can feel towards you. So therefore you would say thoughtless. So that's not very caring. Relief is obviously a very welcome change. Practically, almost. Homesick, wanting to be at home, as the word is there in both the question and the answer. And then you have exuberant, which is filled with a kind of energy. That energy is something that outflows and therefore jumped up and down. And finally, exhilarated is a feeling of joy. You always have these kind of objective questions. These objective questions is they would give you one word and they would ask you to find out the same meaning. So that is called as a synonym. Now, synonym is a word or a phrase that means exactly the same or nearly the same as another word. It is formed from the Greek word syn, which actually means together, and onyma, which actually means name, refers to a name. So synonym is a word that finds an equivalent word as far as its semantic is concerned, and semantic is nothing but meaning. Now, in order to know synonyms, it's very, very important that you have a rich vocabulary. So how do you form a rich vocabulary? This is one of the questions that's been raised constantly by a lot of my students who do not have a very big bank of words. So one of the exercises that I normally tell them to do is an anagram exercise. Now let us also do an anagram exercise, and I will tell you how it can be beneficial for you to enhance and expand your vocabulary. Take a word here. I've given you the word simpleton. I hope you know what a simpleton is. Someone who lives a very simple life, who's got almost every thought rooted to the ground and does not think in a very fastidious or ornamental way. So a very down to earth person. Now what you have to do is, in this particular word, you have to rearrange the letters of this word in such a way that you form new words. The first rule that you have to do is, all the letters that comprise this word can be used to form a new word. 2, you can drop any letter from this word simpleton, but you cannot add any word that does not exist within this particular word. S-I-M-P-L-E-T-O-N. So these letters can be used to form a lot of other words. This exercise actually should help you to increase your word bank or increase your vocabulary and the strength and knowledge that you can possibly learn over a period of time. So I had given you the word simpleton for you to exercise on. Well, take some time, sit and think on it, and just remove all the letters and rearrange them and see how beautiful actually this particular exercise is. Initially you might feel that this is an exercise which is very childish, but it's an exercise that also helps you learn new words. For example, look at the words that I have got on the screen for you. Low, to, know, it, pie, ton, sort, lot, not, pot, top, ton, sun, toil, soil, plot, tone, poem, poet, taupe, pelt, list, time, tine, sign, pine, line, pistil, moat. These are just a few of the words that the 2-letter, the 3-letter and the 4-letter and 1 5-letter that I just arranged for you to tell you, among these words that I have now read out, you will see that there are certain words that you would never have known. For example, the word LO, it's an archaic word, and it is to draw attention to a very interesting event. For example, poets use this, lo behold, they would say. It means look, that's what it means. So though this word is not in use today because it's an archaic word, it did exist. So it's a word certainly. Then you have a word called sot, a drunkard, yes. Tine, so take a fork. When you use the fork, you find there are a few strong points there which are quite sharp. These points, each one of them is called as tine, T-I-N-E. Then you have taupe, also an archaic word, no more in usage, and it also means that when you drink excessively, it means taupe, is a reference to excessive drinking. Pelt, of course you know, pelting stones, so throwing. Pistil is again an obsolete word for written communication, and mote is a speck of dust. There is one word that I had not actually given you here. It is P-O. Now I hope you know that before we have this particular comfort of a restroom, we have a restroom now in the 20th century. The restrooms in the olden times during the 12th century, the 13th century was called as a chamber pot where they would relieve themselves. So this chamber pot was called as PO, and again that's an archaic word and no more in usage. So just look, with one word and with the rearrangement of the letters in that particular word, you have been able to learn about 6 to 7 new words. So that is why when you actually want to crack at least a synonym or an antonym and you need to know vocabulary, doing this exercise regularly can help you learn more and actually try to pin the right answer. So here is a synonym exercise. So I said synonym, same meaning. Now there is something that all of us as users of the English language should understand. No synonym can have the same meaning. In other words, you might have 4 or 5 synonyms, but they cannot have the same meanings. They would always be different to some degree. For example, let us take the word happy, joy, glad. Now happy is slightly a degree more than glad. Glad is the basic. And joy is slightly more than happy. And bliss is the superlative to this kind of elated feeling. So in English, no synonym can be of same equivalent degree. So this particular, the fat cat could barely climb the tree. Look at the word that's been given there. The word that's underlined is fat. And normally your objective question would be to choose one of the 4 which is equivalent to the word fat. So as I said, even though it might not be to the same degree of semantic, what you could do is at least choose one that is closer to it. So you have option A, lean, option B, chubby, C, gaunt, and D, emaciated. Go through it again. The fat cat could barely climb the tree. A, lean. Lean is thin. Chubby is fat. Gaunt is haggard and worn out with age. Emaciated is also more or less very, very thin. So obviously, one way to crack a synonym exercise is this. When you look at the words, all the 3 other options would be of the same equivalent meaning and one would be different. So if you look at it here, you have lean, which is more or less similar to gaunt and is also similar to emaciated, but chubby is certainly not. Yes, chubby is the right opposite to all the 3. That way you can actually mark your answers. So just use a little bit of logic. So here fat means chubby. Move on to the second synonym. My teacher was happy to see me. The word that's underlined is happy. Take a look at the options. Sorry, unhappy, unenthusiastic, and glad. Look at it again. See if 3 of the options match and 1 is the odd man. Sorry, unhappy, unenthusiastic, and glad. Obviously, sorry is negative, unhappy is negative, so is unenthusiastic. So therefore, the other option is glad, and therefore glad is the answer. So always remember, 3 out of the 4 options will be similar in meaning, or that is semantic. 1 would be the odd person, and that is what you have got to mark as an answer. Here we have choose for the word fastidious. You have the word fastidious. And the options given are unclean, sloppy, attentive to dress and cleanliness, and dirty. So once again, as I told you, the method in which you have to crack this, see if you can group 3 of them in one and 1 is the odd man out. naturally unclean, sloppy is sluggish and not very graceful, dirty, they all can be clubbed together, isn't it? So therefore, attentive to dress and cleanliness is the answer. So fastidious means giving a lot of importance to the way you dress and to things like the OCD complex that you have, obsessive cleanliness disorder. So such people are obsessed with cleanliness, and that is the meaning of fastidious. Horrendous. Options are unpleasant, pleasing, equanimous, cheerful. So you ought to know the meaning of some of these words in order to actually choose an option. So can you just see? Unpleasant, pleasing, equanimous and cheerful. Equanimous means a very even-tempered human being, someone who doesn't lose his cool, someone who's not abrasive, not very angry, yes? So not very pusillanimous, which means they all mean very, very angry and easy to quarrel. So equanimous is even-tempered, cheerful of course is again very positive in nature, pleasing you know is a very simple word and that also is a very positive word. So what is the word that falls out of this particular group? The word unpleasant. So therefore horrendous means unpleasant. So once again, when you group the other three, you will find the odd man out and you will be able to get the answer. Now here we have the right opposite to the word synonym. That is called as an antonym. So as an antonym is a word that is opposite or nearly opposite in semantic or in meaning. So this is quite an easy exercise again. If you know words and if you know the meaning of these words, it's very easy for you to crack. So let's look at this. We have the word achieve here and the options given are succeed, victory, fail, win. And you got to choose the opposite, not the same meaning, it's the opposite meaning. So would you just go in and see the words again? Achieve, the options given to you are succeed, victory, fail, win. Can you group the four words, group all the three of them together, then you would know which one is the odd man out. Succeed, victory and win can be grouped together. So naturally the odd man out is the word fail and that is the answer. The second question, the word is important. Choose the right antonym. Your options are significant, insignificant, main, principal. Look at it again. Significant, insignificant, main, principal. There might be some small confusion in one of the words. If you're very careful, it's once again very easy. This word principal is also a noun. It also means something very important and significant. So people can go wrong there. So the words are main, principal and significant, which can be grouped together. So therefore the odd man out is insignificant. So opposite of important is insignificant. So always when you look at one particular question, group the three into one slot and there will be one that does not adhere to that particular group and that is the odd man out and that would be the answer. So the answer in fact. So you must be very careful as to how you are able to sort out the synonyms and antonyms. It's actually very easy, but if you do not know the meaning also, you can group them together. Yes. Now let's once again look into two more examples that's available. Here we have the word upright. Standing upright, yes, it's quite an ordinary word, but in case you have a difficulty in English, you will need to know what upright is. So, the options given to you are straightforward, erect, honest, and devious. So, choose which one would be. Group them, you will find straightforward, erect, and honest can be grouped together, right? Straightforward, erect, and honest, they are all positive. So, naturally, even if you do not know the meaning of devious, you can mark that to be the word which is the odd man out. So, the answer for upright opposite is devious. And the last word for the session would be charming. Your options are pleasant, repulsive, tolerable, and wonderful. Once again, look at these words very closely. You will find pleasant is positive, tolerable is also positive, wonderful is also positive. So, what is not positive here? Correct. Repulsive, and therefore the opposite of charming is repulsive. Well, I hope you all learned something in this session, and until we meet next time, have a nice time.